so excited that you guys are here, mostly because you're my friends, and Abby's also a member of the Live Big Collective, which is so fun.
I am.
But I'm just so excited to really hear your guys' story from a totally different perspective rather than, you know, the casual dinner conversations kind of thing. So thank you guys for being here. I'm super excited about it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Awesome. Meet Tom and Abby Wilkinson. Tom and Abby are a dynamic duo with shared love for family, faith, and building a life of purpose and impact. Tom graduated from BYU with a degree in mechanical engineering, but quickly found his passion in business and leadership. While still in college, he joined Vivint and quickly rose through the ranks to become a regional manager, building and leading high-performance sales teams. His early success sparked a deeper interest in entrepreneurship, leading him to transition into venture capital and private real estate. With a hands-on, value-driven approach, Tom has made over 42 successful startup investments and continues to build an impressive track record in the business world. Abby, originally from Boston, came to Utah to attend UVU. Just 2 weeks into her freshman year, she met Tom at church, and the rest is history. Abby brings a grounded, joyful energy into every room and is the heart of their home. Together, Tom and Abby are raising 3 young children, ages 4, 2, and 6 months, and building a legacy based on family, faith, and fearless pursuit of their dreams. So, thank you guys so much for being here. So excited that you're here. So, the first question I want to ask you guys is to really share kind of a picture of your journey for anyone that doesn't know you. Like, yes, that introduction gives some basic highlights, but I want you to kind of dig into the story of you guys together and business and all of the things. And it could be 2 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever you want. But just kind of share that together of what that has looked like.
Go first.
Well, should we start how we met?
Sure.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, you tell that.
And we want to know like all the nitty-gritty.
This one's embarrassing though.
I love it.
So I remember is getting back from summer from selling and so tired. I got home at like 1 a.m. the night before and woke up the next day and it was Sunday. And I'm like, I don't want to go to church. Just exhausted, but I made myself go and I went with some of my friends and we were sitting in sacrament meeting and all of a sudden I heard this voice. I was like, who's this? And of course it's Abby up at the front speaking and she has this voice kind of like Emma Stone, you know what I'm talking about? Where it's kind of like raspy a little bit.
Yeah, raspy.
And I kind of at the time had a crush on Emma Stone. and then I just saw her eyes and then she smiled and I looked over to my friend and I was like, I think I'm going to marry her. Who is this girl? I've never seen her before.
Stop it, Tom. Are you
Dead
serious?
Dead serious.
Funny.
You're so romantic.
And that's not something I, said ever. And I don't know, it was cool. But this is where it gets embarrassing. So later that day, I was hanging over at my friend's house and lo and behold, Abby shows up. With
God's like, here you go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. With I think you were doing something for the Relief Society or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
ministering visits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she comes in and I'm like, okay, I got to shoot my shot, right?
Yeah.
So I said,
So just to set the scene, there's a room full of people. They're all hanging out in a living room like this and in an apartment, but everybody's sitting. Me and my companion, we just walk in and we're like, hey, we'll come back another time.
and then
Go to head out the door.
I said, hey, don't want this to sound weird, but you have the sexiest voice I've ever heard.
And this is in front of everyone?
Yes. And I was like, oh no.
I'm like halfway out the door.
Yeah. And this is classic me, ADD, and just saying whatever comes to my brain. But I instantly wanted to grab those words back and like, put them back in my
back
mouth.
in,
Yeah. And yeah, I was kind of... Anyway, she looked like she was embarrassed. I was like, oh no, so I better lay low for a little while.
Yeah.
So
Like,
I just
this
kind
has
of
to
cooled
calm
off.
down.
Yeah, for like several weeks, I was like, okay, I just need to kind of keep my head down a little bit. And then one night I was coming back to my apartment and I see she's on a date with another dude, like, and he's dropping her off. And it looks like she's like kind of over it and like done with the date. So I was like, okay, maybe I can rescue her from this and hopefully that person's not hearing this, but I can rescue her from that awkward date. And so I just started talking with her, and then we, just kind of hit it off. And then she came over and we watched, did we watch a movie that night just over at our place?
I can't remember.
But yeah, and then I asked her out on a first date, and that was it.
I love that. So from your perspective, what were you thinking when he said that? Were you embarrassed, or were you just like, okay, that was whatever?
I mean, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, it was like slightly, I felt a little bit awkward.
Yes.
But I just left and, moved on. We were doing more Relief Society visits. So
on to the next.
It was great. And I thought he was cute. So it wasn't that bad.
Totally. Yeah. It's funny how when they're cute, you're like,
okay, I'll let him pass.
They're nervous or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's so funny. I love that. Okay. So then how long did you guys date for? What did that look like?
Like a year and a half.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we dated for a year and then we got engaged that summer and got married a couple months later.
Did you get married in Boston or here? Or?
No, in San Diego.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's so
I
cool.
was
and you're from Texas,
Yeah.
right? So
well, we figured both families would have to travel.
So you're like, where do we want to go?
Yeah.
It was December. So we were like, if everyone's already traveling, let's go somewhere fun.
Yes.
We'll go to the sunshine. It was great.
Did you get married in the San Diego temple?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a castle.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, that's so
kind of a dream thing for both of us.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's so fun. Tom's grandpa sealed us. It was perfect.
Perfect day. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so then after that, I know you guys have kind of some rough starts of just what entrepreneurship life is like. Tell me about that. What did that look like?
Well, okay, this is funny because I remember right as we got married, do you know Chip and Joanna Gaines?
Yeah, totally.
So I was reading their book, and I remember this one part that she wrote in it where she was like, with Chip, the highs are high and lows are low. And I just remember we had one of those moments after we first got married. Tom took me on the most beautiful honeymoon. It was amazing. And then a couple weeks later, we were on the road doing Vivint stuff, traveling with all these 19, 20-year-old boys and going from hotel to hotel. And so we just did that for the next couple of years.
Dang.
Yeah.
And you didn't have kids yet at this point?
No, we didn't have kids until 4.5 years later.
3.
3. Oh.
3 years?
She would have been better.
Yeah. No, that's
awesome. And I mean, it was the grind, right?
Yeah.
But Abby was so helpful and so supportive. And when I really had conviction that I wanted to marry Abby was it was the night before a trip to Montana where I was supposed to go and sell, and I had to leave at 4 a.m. And so she gets up from her apartment, makes me
While we were dating.
Yeah, a whole things of a bunch of snacks and all this cool stuff, and at 4 a.m, who does that? And said, I know you can do it, and then gave me a kiss, and I was like, okay, that's the type of girl.
That sounds like you, Abby.
And he got right up. I was like, wow, you're so chipper.
Yes, well, because you were there probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So after we got married, we did the Vivint thing for probably 4 or 5 more years, and we'd go out every summer. Tom would make a bunch of money. We'd come home, move into these little duplexes, and try to house hack it, that whole thing. And
yes.
Yeah, so it was a grind. We were watching all of our friends who were doing Vivint go buy these awesome houses and go on these fun trips and buy cool cars. And we were pretty set that we were going to buckle down, spend all of our money on investments, and
had a long-term vision. Yeah.
Yeah, and Abby was so supportive of that, which is really cool. I mean, 90% of what we made, we were investing and then living in a rat hole in Provo in this basement of a duplex. And I think we ended up moving 18 different times.
Yeah.
Oh my
Until we got to our house that we were in now. I think it was 17, maybe
Between,
18.
doing the house hacking and then traveling for summer stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That is so much work. Yeah.
Yeah. And Abby did the majority of the work when it comes to packing. She just is good at those things. And I was always recruiting or selling or whatever. And so, just the sacrifice that she made doing that was really cool.
That is one of the things I love so much about you guys is that both of you have each of your roles and you're like super confident in those roles and you do them very well. So explain a little bit more, like almost what day in the life looks like now, like for each of you. 'Cause I just see you guys doing the grind both in each of the things that you're doing. And I just really respect you for like, it's like 1 + 1 is 3. You guys are totally like strong in each of those roles, but what does that look like?
A day in the life now. Well, we get up. Tom works out. Make breakfast. I take the kids out. We go do some activities, go to the museums. We love Airborne. Go to the trampoline park.
Fun. Yes.
Come home. Hang out with neighbor kids. We hang out with neighbor kids in the afternoon. What are you doing? Everything.
All day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, she basically holds down the fort all day so we can go and grind. And right now it's definitely more of a busy season for me because, I haven't been getting home until 8 a lot of times. And so, that's a lot with 3 kids under 4 and, dinner's already been made and, sometimes they've already gone through baths. Yeah. I like to get home as much as I can so I can do bath time and bedtime and everything with them. But I mean, on the weekends, I try to take them as much as I can, and I can't even move. I'm so tired.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you guys do it.
It's like a different. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're in the stage where from the moment we wake up until the moment we close our eyes, it's go, go, go. Like, I love to cook, and so the kids and I are usually cooking. We love to garden in the summertime. We just love to do anything outside. I'm not a homebody, so the kids and I were just looking for any way to get outside.
Yes, yes. It's hard in the winter.
Yeah, it is.
And you're like, but Airborne,
we figure
things
it
like
out.
that.
Yes,
Yeah, museums. No, I love that. I think that's so relatable because oftentimes it's like, oh yeah, if you're out and about all the time, you just want to be home. And when you're home all the time, you're like, I just want to do something else or have like an adult conversation or whatever. I can totally relate to that. And then Tom, tell people like what you're involved in right now, like a little bit about the company you're CEO for and
so right now, and actually one thing I need to tell you guys is Abby made the down payment on our first ever duplex.
Oh, that is true. We skipped over, I guess, a little bit of that. Sorry, maybe don't say that.
No,
don't include that part.
No, please, that's perfect.
But going back to, I guess, the Vivint days before we had kids, Tom would work really, really hard he would work hard all year, and then he'd go out, do the summer thing, and then we'd come back, and I would always be working like a 9 to 5, and then come home, make dinner, pretty much do administrative stuff for your business.
Yeah.
For Vivint, for your team. Go to bed, do it all over again.
And Abby was really instrumental in like helping us make some of those first investments. I remember every deal that we would look at investing in. I always would want Abby's opinion on it. And one especially that I'm really proud that we made was an investment in Gab Wireless. And
cool. Yeah.
I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for her conviction in it. And I don't remember if you remember this, but your comment was like, there's no better marketer than a pissed off mom.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I mean, every mom agrees, right?
Yeah,
Every
you're going
mom
to tell
wants.
everyone. Yeah.
Yes, we're all worried about technology and our kids.
Yeah.
And it felt like a no-brainer to me.
That's so
Absolutely.
great.
And then, of course, just the down payment on that first duplex was really cool when you were working at Tesla. But yeah, I didn't want to miss that
thank
part
you
of it.
for
But
sharing that. That's
today, it's been, I'm working a lot. But right now I manage a venture capital fund. Between all of the assets that we have under management, it's about 40 million under management right now, which is small compared to like other players out there. But
it's also not small, and it's a huge success. So
but yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, we want to go big someday, and we'll get there. And we have big dreams for what we want to accomplish. We want to build a really successful business. And then within that, what I've always tried to do with my investments is put my thumb on the scale as much as I can, instead of just investing in great operators. I want to actually like add value to each of those investments. And so,
and you can count on you.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, I know I can count on me.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously things that are out of your control, but I want to control as much as I can. And so one of the businesses is one that I started myself that's in my fund. And so right now I'm the CEO of that business. And so I do that and the fund. So it's pretty dang busy.
I love that. I think, well, just the other day, I got to go to iHub and see what you're doing. And I was like, oh, Tom, this is so cool, because I feel like what's awesome about it is you're not just impacting you and your circle, you're impacting so many other people. Like, we've invested with you. Like, if anyone out there listening to this needs someone to invest in, I'm like, yeah, Tom Wilkinson, 100%. Like,
That's nice of you.
So I really believe in you, and I know a lot of people do. So it's really cool to see.
The cool thing about it too is that I feel like the businesses that Tom and his partner pick are so meaningful.
Yes.
And it's not just another like tech company or, whatever. They're like, they're really helping people. There's like devices for deaf people. There's the one that he's the CEO of is depression and what's it called? Depression and addiction.
No. Yeah, addiction recovery and
Addiction
anxiety.
recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe cut that part.
No.
But sorry. But they're just so meaningful. And he actually was just, I don't think he would say this, but he was just asked to be on the board of mental health for the state of Utah.
So cool.
And I just think that what he's doing is making a difference, or he's choosing to work with companies that are really making a difference for a lot of people's lives.
Which is so cool and so.
And to clarify,
admirable.
the board is called Resilient You. It's really cool.
Oh, cool.
So I'm really
I love
excited
that.
to be be a part of that.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. Well, and maybe while we're on the topic of some of these companies, you should share about what your passion is specifically with this business that you're CEO of.
Yeah.
Such
Okay.
a cool
I
story.
can share a little bit about that. So this is a product that was developed at BYU, and what's the secret sauce of what we do in my venture capital fund is we try to get the latest and greatest technologies from universities and commercialize them. And what's great about that is there's grant funding to fund this research that allows us to step into technology that's already had millions of dollars of development in, and we don't have to come up with that cost. This one in particular really hit home for us because of a personal, family story. But one of the researchers, so there's 5 neuroscientists that are behind this project, and he had a brother just about 10 years ago go through addiction recovery. And if anybody knows about this space, generally when you go in an addiction recovery center, you're going to go through intense withdrawals, which is really painful because that's dopamine levels in your brain just plummeting. And to cope with that, usually they're administered what's called methadone, which is another substance, another drug, which, looking back now, it doesn't make a ton of sense to give somebody with a substance abuse problem another substance that they become dependent on. Well, one of the scientists, his brother, went through addiction recovery and eventually got addicted to methadone, and he overdosed on methadone. And a similar story happened in my life just about 10 years ago as well, when my brother went through addiction recovery and ended up, we lost him to an overdose on methadone. And we don't exactly the details of like how everything went down, but, it makes you question like the way that things are. And what's great about entrepreneurship is instead of sitting on your butt and just complaining about, oh, that's just the way that the world is, those people are just getting up and doing something about it.
Problem solvers.
Yeah. And that's what I love about what I do. And, my brother growing up was, our protector and, kind of shielded me and my brothers and sisters from some of the negativity from my dad and some of his issues, and when he left and everything. And it's just so unfortunate because it's so easy to judge people like where they are at in their life without knowing any context behind it.
Totally.
If I'd gone through what my brother went through and I was the one that had to shield my younger, brothers and sisters from that stuff, I'd be doing cocaine, I'd be doing drugs too. And what this business for me represents is hope for people. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are suffering, and it's cool that actually I hadn't talked about the technology. So what these scientists discovered is in your spine, there's mechanoreceptors, which are basically just nerve endings that are really sensitive to a specific harmonic frequency. And so what it is it's a chair, and it's sending actually two waves up your spine that combine in your spine together to create a third different wave. And that is basically a beat frequency. So think about your spine as like a tuning fork. It's kind of what's going on. And then after about 7 minutes, your brain naturally produces dopamine and reduces GABA. And
it's incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And of course, before we invest, we do a lot of due diligence, and this product, we helped it go through the NIH on a clinical trial and had incredible results, about 60% reduction in generalized anxiety.
So
and
cool.
And even then I still wanted to test it on myself. And, this isn't about me, but some of the struggles that I've had in my life, most have been around anxiety and my own mental health challenges. When I got back from my mission, I just dealt with a lot of anxiety on my mission. I never felt like I was good enough. I had scrupulosity. And so I just really struggled. And so my therapist was like, when I got home to BYU, was like, okay, we got the perfect solution for you. Citalopram, Adderall, Klonopin, gabapentin. And I'm like, okay, I'm in a lot of pain, so whatever it takes.
Whatever, I gotta feel differently.
Yeah, and it's, it's your doctor, right? So what are you gonna say? Yeah. And definitely medication has its place and everything. But had I known the side effects of those things and how it would have impacted me, I would never have gone that route. And so when I saw this product, and I, saw that it could probably help me, and I wanted to invest, I wanted to try it out. So with the medications I was taking, there was just so many side effects with them that I tried to get off tons of times, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't even get out of bed. But I tried this, and within 2 days I was off those meds. And it's been,
my gosh.
Yeah, it's been 2 years, and it's been absolutely life-changing for me.
Tom, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Super cool.
So what's so awesome about that is that like internal conviction that you're just like, I want everyone to feel how I'm feeling now.
No, 100%. If it can work for me, it can work for anybody.
So
now, of course, not one thing works for every person, but I'm definitely like a person that has a lot of anxiety and a lot of ADD. And what it really feels like, and I still use it today, just because I like it, and it getting dopamine in your brain allows you to habit stack. And so there's certain things that I'm just trying to get better at. And so I'll do a session, get the dopamine, and then I'll work out, and it helps me. But what it feels like to me is after 7 minutes, I just get a cool sensation in my brain. And when I turn it off, it's just,
I got it. Yeah.
He's like a different person.
Are you serious? Yes. You can tell.
He like has it in his office, and I can see, like, he'll go in all worked up or whatever, and then he'll come out and he's just like, oh, I feel so good.
So much
and
better.
He's like so present.
Yes.
It's like night and day.
Yeah.
And it's like a chair, right?
Yeah. So it's
I
just
saw it the other day. It's like, that's so cool.
It looks like a chair like a stool the Apple's computer would have made. That's kind of why I wanted to design it like that.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. And you sit on it 10 minutes, do a meditation, and it's life-changing. And one anecdote is, it used to take me an hour and a half to fall asleep, and I track it on my Oura Ring. Now my latency is even lower. It's down to 17 minutes.
Oh
and
my
I'm
gosh.
asleep now.
Yeah. Which helps everything else.
Literally
then you're
everything else.
Sleep for everything else.
Yeah.
That's so cool that like you're in that right now, that like that's what business you're focusing on, your energy and the fund too, but like that's amazing.
We want to build a massive company. I mean, you think about the impact and the amount of people that struggle with anxiety. And so that's where the product started, was addiction recovery, but you think about dopamine, where it applies. The next, so we're targeting addiction recovery and addiction right now, but then you have pain management, which the big pharma, destroyed our society with opiates. And so everyone's trying to go find more holistic ways to deal with, to manage chronic pain. So great use cases there. Insomnia, OCD, PTSD. And then the most interesting one, but it's going to be a little bit further down the line, is actually Parkinson's.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys are studying all those right
Yeah,
now,
so we're in phase 2 clinical trials, and then NIH awarded us
so
another
cool.
$3 million for that research, and it's really
amazing. And it's cool that it's like not gonna hurt anyone to try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like
100%.
it's like the worst that could happen is nothing happens, but you're
Right.
not having all these side effects.
That's right.
So cool.
That's right.
So I love that you're doing that right now. And I love that you brought up these other companies that you're like, oh, this is really cool, like passion of ours. Like which one of the companies that Tom has done has been like exciting for you or a passion for you, would you say?
Good question. Well, I loved the Gab. I loved the Gab watches. Well, funny story. The first investment, right? This was the first one, was Sign Glasses. I mentioned the company that helps deaf people.
Yeah.
So when we were getting engaged, we were like ring shopping and looking around, and this investment opportunity came up. And we were like, okay, are we going to spend money on a ring? Or are we going to make the investment?
No way.
And so we pulled the trigger on Sign Glasses.
That is
So
so
that
cool.
one's pretty meaningful
So
to me.
that is your
Yeah, so
eventually-
she had a fake ring for a few years.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We eventually got a real one, but I mean real. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Had we
this
not
is
done
a
it-
way better ring than
know.
Well, it would have been a
whatever
really
was.
costly ring.
Yes.
I'll just say that. I'm so glad we didn't do that.
so that one
that.
is near and dear to my heart. But
In a totally different way. That's
Yeah.
cool. I
Yeah.
love that. I think that's really cool.
and it was the first one. It was
Yes,
exciting.
yes.
You know.
Well, and it still continued on. I remember just a couple days ago you were saying that you're going to be selling that in the near future.
Yeah.
And so just to have that one through, multiple sales and stuff throughout the years, but this is the final one, right?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
Sunglasses. So that's kind of an interesting era,
Yeah.
to be like, oh, we're closing this chapter,
Yeah.
Yep.
which is really cool. So as we know, have you read the book Entrepreneurship Rollercoaster? Either of you?
No, but I think I've been on one.
Yeah, 100%. Like you
We
should
probably
read it
lived
because
it.
it is literally like, oh, everyone feels this way, But as you know, just life of an entrepreneur is up and down, all the things. What are some of your favorite stories, whether it was really hard or like big successes or, all of the things between you two?
What do you think?
Well, there's been a lot of hard. I think we're kind of in one of those zones with having 3 under 4.
Yes.
It's like
yeah.
it's just a lot,
And
and
2 businesses.
yeah, and then me doing 2 businesses, and I think I wouldn't have it any other way, and actually, before I decided to do the fund and this business, like I really wanted to be intentional about it and kind of get some guidance spiritually on it. And I've never felt more called to do 2 specific things in my whole life.
Wow.
And otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. And I, Abby and I talk about this, a lot. And what I love is that she's so supportive of me doing that, even in this time with our 3 kids and how hard it is. It's just amazing everything that she's doing. And I'm biased, but our kids are incredible.
Yes, they are. They're so cute. Yes.
And well behaved and very limited screen time, and they eat great food, they're polite, and that has nothing to do with me. If it were up to me, we'd have screen time going. We'd be eating Cheetos and mac and cheese. And I think about this sometimes, like what I would do without you. I think our kids would be in big trouble.
No.
Well, it takes
That'd be
2,
great.
but yeah, that's your strength and your focus right now. So before we go back to certain stories, like how have you been able to like rise to, because I think you're an incredible mom as well.
Thank you.
What has helped you become who you are now through the lens of being a mother?
Oh, that is such a good question. To be honest, my first pregnancy and our first baby.
Oh, that's another really hard
Was
time.
Story.
It was really hard.
Oh.
I had a horrible pregnancy and a hard, like, colicky baby.
Oh,
Kind of until he was like 18 months and could like move
dang.
and talk. So it was like 2.5 years of really, really hard. And I think that it needed to be that way. I think that I needed to be like broken down in a way and then built back up. And I think that when I was dealing with being sick through my pregnancy, and I was kind of like, I was in bed for a lot of it because I was really sick. I would kind of get dizzy and faint if I like stood up to shower for too long. Like I couldn't keep food down. And so I had a lot of time probably leading up to having our first to think about like, okay, what kind of mom do I want to be? And to be honest with you, I had never thought about it. Like before the day we got pregnant, I was not like this crazy kid lover. I loved kids, but I just didn't think about what kind of mom I would be. And I just think that I have been so lucky to see so many amazing moms and to hear stories, read books, see so many incredible examples. And I just feel lucky that I get to almost cherry pick and be like, oh my gosh, I love that she does that. Oh my gosh, she like is so good about screen time. If she can do it, I can do it. She is amazing at like home cooking all of her meals. I can like, if she can do it, I can do it, I guess is kind of a motto that I've had. And I just feel lucky that I've had the time and the space to read about like Montessori parenting and all these things. And I feel like I cultivated a passion for motherhood as it's happened.
as you went through it. Yes.
Yes. It's like I've been like building the plane as it's flying, but it's so fun. And people talk about the newborn bubble, and I was thinking about this yesterday. Actually, I was like, I think I'm in the little kid bubble.
Oh,
Like it's actually just so fun. And it's equally exciting to think about them growing up and becoming independent and seeing what they love and what they're passionate about, and equally heartbreaking. Probably any mom
totally
knows
Yes.
that feeling of like, I want to see all the things you do, but also like I'm
Don't grow
heartbroken
up.
thinking about you going to the store by myself, you know?
Totally.
And so I think probably what it comes down to is the examples that I've had.
One thing I've loved like watching you or something that I've noticed about you is I feel like you are so abundant mindset where it's like, oh, I can take pieces of this versus I think so many times as mothers, we think, oh, she's doing that, so it's a competition instead of like, no, it's collaboration. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to take from that. And you're such an abundant person that way. And so I think that's such a good example to show other mothers that like, hey, we need a village. Like, let's all be like supportive of each other, of what's working for each other, and just be real that this is hard versus, yeah, I have it all figured out. Cause like who actually does? It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. Like no one actually knows what the freak they're doing. We're just trying to, I like how you said you're building the airplane as it's flying. You're just like, well, I guess we need this. We're rolling with it. You know? So
well, and the
really cool.
The village that you talk about, it is so important because I think about my examples, and it's my mom, my grandma, my sisters, Tom's mom, his sister, all these amazing people, but it's also my mom friends.
I love that.
People I've met in our neighborhood, you know, family, extended family, and maybe there are things that like even discipline. I feel like I've learned how to discipline from some of my friends, or just different things. There's just an abundance of women that we get to learn from. And I just don't think there's nothing cooler.
That's like I don't know. I think that's so important. And actually Shane and I were talking with Tom the other day when we were at iHub, and we were talking about the 33 mentality. So it's 33% of people you're looking up to. And we were talking about it with business, but I think this applies to motherhood perfectly, where it's like you're surrounding yourself with people you want to be like, you know, and then 33% is who's in it the same thing as you so that you can relate. And then the last third is like people you can mentor and help. And I think it applies to business and motherhood, where it's like, we need the grandmas and like the wise older souls, but then we also need the people who are like, here and now, this is what's going on. And then like the new moms that you're like, hey, you can do it. I know you don't get very much sleep, but you know, I'm here to come take your baby so you can shower or whatever, you know? And so just recognizing, I think, how important it is to surround yourself with, that we don't have to do it alone, that we get to surround ourselves with.
Well, that's such an interesting point, because our grandmas, they don't know what we're dealing with today. They were mothering
so different, with
different challenges of their own. And we have different challenges now. And so, yeah, there's so many people.
There's like the room for it all. Like, so I love that. That's awesome. Okay. So back to my original question of stories between the two of you and the entrepreneurship journey. Was there anything else that came to mind for you specifically?
Like anything hard?
Yeah. Or great successes too. It could be anything.
What about when you passed out at the grocery store?
Well, that's a pregnancy story.
Okay. Well, that
hey, I want to hear that story.
That was during COVID, and you know, she's pregnant, and
this is
I'm
with
selling,
your first,
and
right?
we're in
That's
Alabama.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, selling.
Yeah, selling.
Oh,
and
woof, in the summer.
Yeah, and then I get a call from somebody at like the grocery store there, like, hey, your wife's not doing good. You gotta come down here. So I'm going like 120 on the highway to head back to see her, and it was just, I mean, it was hard timing because the summer you're literally on 100% of the time. And so I was not there for her at all when she was so sick. And, you know, that was for sure a tough
lonely
go.
time.
Yeah. But you know what? Here's the thing. So to answer your question, one of the things that I loved about the summers was that it totally removed us from everything. We were not by family. We left all of we love the people on our teams, but but we left our family. It's different
when you're there for work.
Yes. We left our environment. I was always leaving a job. And it really made us rely on each other. We got married in December, and then we went out for my first summer, April? Probably April. So we had been married for like 4 months, and we go out and we just do this really hard job. And it totally...
Didn't I get shingles that year? And you had to I got shingles. It was very stressful.
At the end of the summer.
Very stressful summer. I had a great year, but I literally went through the whole summer, and then the last day when I sold my last account to hit my goal, and then all of a sudden it's like my body knew it was done.
They were like, now you can freak out.
And so
Tom's body relaxed.
Abby full on drives us from where were we?
Yeah, I forgot.
Mississippi.
We were in Mississippi.
All the way back home to Utah by herself, because who
knows what's happening?
Yeah, we have no idea what's happening to me.
Yeah. And I just drove straight through the night because I was like, I want the next place I sleep. Yes, I want to go to our bed. I don't want to go to a hotel.
Yeah,
I want to go to our bed. That was fun.
Should we talk about some highlights?
Yeah.
Well, highlights.
Should I finish?
Sure. Go ahead.
What was I saying? Oh, I was saying that the summers really made us depend on each other.
Yes.
Because we only had each other to rely on.
And that's where you became an incredible cook. So good.
I love
that.
She
She can follow any recipe and make it better.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even know how to make soup
No
when
way.
we got married.
Like, it's a big shift.
Yeah.
And
so,
you love it now.
Yeah. So the summers, they were really, really hard. It was a total grind. But I would not trade that for anything because of the way that it made us. It made it so that
Your foundation.
It made it so that if we were like working through something, I wasn't running to my mom's house.
Totally,
you know, it was, we had to figure it out together.
That is so cool.
Yeah. And I got to develop some hobbies, and it was fun. I got to work with
and you kind of figure out who you are probably outside of, those are a lot of transition periods. It's like you moved away from home, Boston, started college, like getting married, moving to a random place that you don't really know anyone, like being by yourself. Like, those are a lot of things that you're like, okay, who am I and what am I made of? Each of you, you know, trying to figure out. And who am I now? Like Abby, who is also a wife and who is also a wife of a business owner. And, that's so crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I want to hear highlights. What would you say?
Well, highlights, I mean, obviously our kids are the number one highlights. I mean, we've sold a couple of businesses, and that's cool for like 5 minutes. And then we're like, okay, what's next?
The gain. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so we're
on to the next.
Yeah. The stuff that really matters is, I mean, for me, like when Ezra was born, our oldest, I remember he had a hard time getting out, and it was kind of scary for a minute. I remember he got stuck. Oh, and so we were kind of worried about him. And then he came out and he wasn't breathing. And then I don't know if they spanked him or something like that. And I heard him take his first breath, and it was the coolest sound.
Coolest thing.
Oh, it was incredible. And that's something I'll never forget.
Tom always talks about Ezra's first breath, and it's so cute.
Love that.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
great.
I think one of my highlights, now that I'm thinking about it, was, so Tom did Vivint for 10 years, and he loved it. He had a great experience. And he was really sad. It was a hard decision to leave. But I actually loved seeing him make that transition, because I knew it was something that he always wanted to do. And I knew he always wanted to go raise money, start a fund, have his own business that he was building, and not, as he always says, building someone else's business. It was really cool. He was super brave, and it was scary, but I loved seeing him take that on, and it's been so fun to watch him do something that he loves.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And Tom, in that case, what was Abby's role in that? Like, in what ways did you feel supported by her? Or?
Yeah. Well, I think I've never not felt support, and that's just from the very, the example I gave from when we were dating, and she, woke up in the morning to support me. And I never worry about stuff at home. I know that she's got it handled, and that allows me to take the type of risks that we take. And she supports me and believes in me, and that's really all I need to go and succeed is, her to say that she believes that I can do it. And so I go make it happen.
It's funny because growing up, I didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial family, and growing up, my perception of entrepreneurs was kind of, like the used car salesman that can't really ever like catch a break, or, that kind of thing.
Like struggling.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I met Tom, and it felt like he opened up this world of entrepreneurship and how exciting it can be, and how fun. And your life doesn't have to be this 9 to 5 that you don't love. What converted me to the entrepreneur life, aside from the excitement, was that believing in Tom is it's like breathing for me. Like, if there's one person in the world that I believe in, it's Tom. And it's funny, I realized maybe a year or two ago that I always felt that. It wasn't even a conscious thought. It was just like, yes, of course Tom is going to go achieve his dream. Of course he's going to be successful in what he wants to do. Like, I didn't even have to actively think about it. And I realized I had never told him. I was like, I believe in you. Like, I believe in this chair that we're sitting in. Like, it's not even something I have to think about. I know you're going to go do what you want to do. And I know you're going to do that and accomplish it. And then I know you're going to go find something new that you love and continue to do what you love.
Well, and it sounds like both of you feel that way about the other person. Like, I 100% trust you in what you're doing, and I 100% trust you in what you're doing. It's cool. I just heard this statistic the other day that 75%, and I'm actually surprised it's not a higher number, but 75% of people say that when things are going well at home, they're more successful, or they feel more confident in their work. And I was like, I feel like it's 99%.
Oh, it's gotta be.
For sure.
But whatever that's based on, it's so true, because I just think both of you guys are building this empire together in such a valuable way. And I just think that's amazing that, going back to what I said at the beginning, that 1 + 1 is 3, like, you're each able to do your roles in your home that you've decided of what those look like, and do them so well. That's truly what's built the success of the legacy that you're you're building and going to leave for your family. It's really cool.
Well, that's so
watch.
kind. Thank you.
Super impressive. I love that.
Yeah, I just think it's been easy to support and easy to just say yes, because I just know he's going to figure it out.
That's cool. My sister-in-law and I were talking about this the other day, where it's interesting, like, to be married to someone successful later on, because you're like, aren't you glad that you were so poor at the beginning that you're like, you know, that you married for love first and not for the success? But it's almost like you knew they would be successful, and both of you knew that about each other, I'm sure, where like, oh, you'll be successful in whatever you do just because of your personality, you know? And we were just talking about that, like, I know, you know, I married Shane because I loved him, not because he had all this money or something, you know. It's kind of cool to think of, like, no, we married for love, honestly, because it was really rough at the
Totally.
beginning.
And then it worked out,
You know?
and that's great.
Yeah. You're like, oh, good. Okay, one of the last things I want to talk about specifically is with the Live Big Collective. One of the things I love to ask people is what living big looks like for them individually. I think so often we have different definitions of what that might look like. And so I want to ask each one of you, what does living big mean to you personally, and how has that?
So living big to me is probably about freedom. I just think that maybe it's this stage of life where I can't always just like run to go to the gym or, you know, do whatever I want. But I think having freedom, I think having Tom be able to say, let's go take a trip, having me be able to say, I want to go do this tomorrow, like let's go on this fun date. I think it's freedom. I think at the end of the day, that's really everything.
And do you feel, so to follow up with that, do you feel like you're living big then?
I think so.
I love that.
I think that kids kind of tie you down.
Totally.
And that's great. And it's the season that we're in.
Yes.
And so sometimes it takes some planning. But yeah, I think being able to do what you want, when you want, make your schedule, what else could you possibly want?
I love that. Okay, so along those same lines, what would you tell either your younger version of you or someone who's, I guess to preface this, I love that you're saying that you have freedom right now when this could be a really hard phase of life to be like, I can't do anything that I want to. And you're choosing to say, no, I can do whatever, you know? So the question would be, what would you tell your younger self or someone who's in the hard right now of these young kids that has, you know, what advice would you give them? That was the longest question ever, but I hope you get what I'm saying.
Totally. I would just say, just know your seasons. And I think we're really compatible in this way, where we are both okay buckling down and saying, okay, this is the hard. At the beginning of our marriage, it was, we're grinding. We're moving all over the place. We're working really hard. We're not spending any of the money on anything lavish. Right now, it's, okay, we're having kids. We're having so much fun with them. We're giving them everything that we can. And that's what it's about right now. And I know that there will be a season where we can go do whatever we want and our kids will be a little bit more mature. And so I just think, know your season. And I think that you can always dream. It's so fun to dream. For me, freedom right now is, okay, it's winter. It's so cold. Let's should we go buy a house in California?
Yes.
And escape? And to me, freedom is knowing that Tom's like, not going to say no. Mm-hmm. You know, we'll think about it.
Like, sure. Yeah.
Sure. Maybe we'll go get a summer house
mm-hmm.
on the East Coast where my family is. Like, I just love knowing that anything is possible.
That's so great. And that is an entrepreneurship mindset, I think, is like, not can I or can't I, it's how can I? Like, what am I going to do?
And if it's not,
to make it happen.
Yeah. And to answer your question, if it's not buying a house right now, it's let's go on a trip.
Yes.
Let's go get some sunshine. Mm-hmm. Let's take our kids. Let's leave our kids with grandma.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Thanks. I love that. What about you, Tom? What does living big mean to you?
I'm a work in progress on this one. You brought up the gap and the gain. I think it's something I'm just really trying to work on. So for me, living big is definitely just focusing on, the different areas of my life that are important and measuring my success backward. And as long as I'm progressing, that's living big. And
I love that.
if I don't do that, I tend to be too hard on myself, because I always try to compare myself to the ideal, and the competition should be with myself. And I mean that in like all different ways in my life, like, my marriage and my kids, my relationship with my kids, my relationship with Heavenly Father, and all that stuff.
I love that. That's so great. I think it's just cool to hear everyone's take on that, because most of the time people's living big, you'd think it would be, oh, I want to, go to this vacation here and here and here and all these things. And it's like, no, like freedom and like settling into the, like, it's almost like having peace with what yourself, where you are currently. And so I just think it's so interesting to see everyone's take on that. It's really cool.
I think another part of it too is our kids, is making sure that if anything ever happened to us, our kids would be okay.
Totally.
And we have the peace of mind to know that they could live a great life no matter what.
Totally.
And we can have fun.
Yes.
We can, while we are here, we can take them on fun, go have fun experiences, go move somewhere else for 6 months if we wanted to.
Totally.
Give them
That's huge.
everything we possibly can.
That's huge. Okay, I have one more question for you guys. Just what is either your biggest advice for an entrepreneur or stay-at-home mom, and both of you guys could answer that if you wanted to, or it could also just be like, what's something that's been on your mind recently that you're just like, oh, this has been something I've learned recently, or that you could share with someone listening that would be a takeaway for them?
Should I go first? Okay. I think my biggest advice is, I did the sales thing for a long time, and you kind of get the golden handcuffs a little bit, and you think that you're an entrepreneur, but you're, not really. The amount that I've grown as a person making the leap, because it stretched me and pushed me. I was coasting. It really was, because, comparatively, it's way easier.
Yeah, totally.
To do the door-to-door thing. Entrepreneurship is way harder.
Dang it.
The payoff's way better too, but so I would just say, do something. Like, just start something and then don't quit, and you'll figure it out. And I know that's cliche, but
no,
the person that you'll become by going through that is way more valuable than any of the money that you'll make. And the character you'll develop, because it'll be so hard. You'll be really proud of yourself.
It's like the best self-improvement course is starting a business.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
It's
man.
like starting a business and parenting.
Yes.
Or the refiner's
Two
fires.
things. Yeah, 100%. Yes.
So for the stay-at-home moms, my advice is to build a community. I was one of the first of my friends to have babies, and at first it was really lonely, and I had to go work to build my community, to make friends, make mom friends, and have my kids make friends. And it was the biggest game changer, was making friends, so that we can meet up, like, hey, let's go to the park, let's kill a few hours together, let's like get our kids' energy out, let's talk about like what we're struggling with, and what things we're doing well, and like, exchange information, take each other, offer, be like, hey, I'll take your kids on Thursday.
Yes.
You take mine on Tuesday, whatever.
Mom swap. Yeah,
yes.
Totally.
There's just so many different ways to figure it out. And I am a pretty social person, so I could not sit at home. I know some moms love it, and that's great. And you need to do whatever works for you. But for someone like me, I could not sit in my house, sit in my four walls all day, every day, and watch the kids destroy the house and have no social interaction. I think that there's so much value in making friends, having your kid, make friends for your kids, and learn from each other.
That is so cool.
And just keep each other company.
No, totally.
Because it could be lonely, but it doesn't have to
Yes.
be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you're like, I get it. Yeah, I'm going through that same thing right now. Yeah, I totally
Figure stuff out together.
I
It's
love
great.
that. I love that. Well, this is super awesome. And I feel like one of the biggest takeaways I've learned from you guys today is actually how similar parenthood and entrepreneurship is. Like, because I'm an entrepreneur and a mom, and I haven't really like been like, oh my gosh, these are all like really strong parallels. And so it's kind of cool to just think that you're both on interwoven journeys, but also like really similar parallel journeys to one another, to be like, oh, you're learning this and I'm learning this, and now we get to grow together. So that has been so cool.
Interesting point. I
Yeah,
love that.
I'm like, you guys taught me so much just from sitting here. So thank you so much for your time and energy and your stories and your vulnerability. I think just sharing more stories like this just helps the listeners and everyone involved to learn from each other. Back to your point of just sharing and getting to know, like, hey, I'm not the only one feeling this way. So I appreciate you guys. You guys are the best.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. This was fun.
Thank you.